Have you ever wanted to make a rolled cake? I have a really great recipe for a Christmas Yule log, a Buche de Noel, which is a French pastry. Super simple, one bowl for the cake, one bowl for the filling, and one bowl for the icing. Hi, my name is Debbie Covington. I'm a chef, caterer, cookbook author, and food columnist. I live on Ladies Island in Beaufort, South Carolina with my husband Vince and our cat Belle. I've been serving delicious food to fabulous people for close to 30 years. This is my trusty sidekick, Susan Deloach. Susan is a photographer, good friend, and all-around creative talent. Over the years, we've joined forces on catered events, food columns, cooking classes, and published a cookbook together. Cooking videos are our new project. Welcome to our pretend cooking show. Cheers! What's Christmas without a Yule log? Today we're going to make a Buche de Noel, which is a French version of our traditional Christmas Yule log. It's very simple and very easy to make and very, very tasty. We're going to make a cake first. It's kind of like a sponge, and it's mainly made with eggs, flour, sugar. Let me show you. First of all, I've taken a baking sheet and lined it with tin foil. It's easier to pull the aluminum foil off the back of the cake this way, but we want to spray it really well with baking spray. And then the cake is very, very simple. It's a cup of all-purpose flour, a cup of sugar, a quarter cup of cocoa powder, a third of a cup of water, a little baking powder, salt, and 3 large eggs. Try not to get any shells in your mix. 3. And in the very end, we're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Now I'm going to beat it with an electric mixer, and I'm going to show you a trick for not messing up your kitchen. Hey Susan, come over and get a shot of this. This is a great way to mix things with an electric mixer and not get icing or cake mix or whipped cream all over your kitchen. Put it in the sink, and then everything that splatters in the sink, and then you can wipe it out real easily. So we're going to start slowly. I mean, this is a one bowl cake. It's very easy. You don't have to mix the dry ingredients separately with the wet. Super simple. And another neat trick for not making a mess with your beaters is to let your mixer sit on the edge of your sink, and that way the beaters drip into the sink and not on your counter. The batter is well combined, so we're going to pour it into our prepared pan, scraping every last bit of chocolate goodliness out. And you want to get it all the way to the edges. So push it into those corners. We need a square cake to be able to roll it up evenly. Okay, so see how we have a few air bubbles on top? This is a trick my mother taught me, and you can do this anytime you make a cake. Just bang it a few times like this, and the air bubbles will come to the top and pop so that you don't have any holes in your cake. We're going to put it in the oven at 375 degrees now for 13 minutes. Okay. While our cake is baking, we need to prepare to roll it. So what I have here is a clean tea towel, and this needs to be a tea towel that you only use for baking. This is not one that you can use for cleaning and then later use for baking. So what we want to do is spread it out and spread about 1/2 cup of powdered sugar. The powdered sugar is going to act like flour does sometimes when you have flour in the bottom of a cake pan, and it's going to keep the cake from sticking. When the cake comes out of the oven, we're going to flip it onto this tea towel, and then we're going to roll it up. So it should be just a couple more minutes. The cake is out of the oven and it's very hot. So at this point, what we want to do is remove the foil with the cake on top. It's hot. Very gently. Let's see. Didn't say this was a neat process. Very gently flip it onto the powdered sugar and try to peel off the foil. There we go. God wants to stick. Then fold up the towel a little bit, the thinner end, and just roll your cake in the towel. And then put it on top of a baking rack and let it cool until it's completely room temperature, maybe 35-40 minutes, and then it will be ready to fill. So I'm going to let this cake rest, and I've already made one ahead of time. It's right here. And so this one is ready to be filled. So I'm going to unroll it a little bit. There we go. See? Very gently. And if it cracks a little bit, that's okay, because we can cover it with the icing. I've already made the filling. It's a cup of heavy whipping cream, a 1/4 cup of powdered sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Beat it till stiff peaks form, and then fold in a 1/4 cup of chopped pecans. So at this point, we're going to spread the filling in the cake. Like I said, if it cracks, that is not a big deal. So you want to fill it pretty full and use all of the filling, but you don't have to put it all the way to the ends of the cake, because when you roll it up, it's going to kind of squish that way anyway, and the end of the cake too, because it's going to squish out the end if you do that. So we have this. So at this point, I'm just going to roll the cake back up and rinse off my fingers. Going to put it on a platter so that we can ice it. So let's make a thin chocolate icing to go on top of our Yule log. Very simple. We're going to melt a tablespoon of salted butter and 1 square of unsweetened baker's chocolate, the kind that comes in a box. I've just chopped it very roughly. And I have this in a double boiler. And just going to melt it until it's melted. And then we'll take it off the heat and add some heavy cream and sugar, and we'll make the icing. This doesn't take but just a minute. You don't want the bottom of your pan to actually hit the water, because you don't want the chocolate to seize up. Okay, so the chocolate and butter have melted. To that, we're going to add a cup of powdered sugar and a 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. You could use a blender for this, but you don't really need to. I'm using a whisk today, but usually I use a fork. Just anything that you can use that will just get all these little pieces of white of the powdered sugar out. You want everything blended in and smooth. So it just takes a minute. Now this works better if your cake is a little bit chilled before you ice it. But I'm going to show you how to ice it. right, so I'm just going to pour the frosting over the top. And then with a butter knife, smooth it on the cake. And see, there was a little crack there? Doesn't matter. We'll fill it in with the icing. We'll just continue to do this until the cake is completely frosted and starts to look like a log. So I have one already made, and it's chilled, and it's ready to be decorated. And I've trimmed off the end so you can see the roll and see just how simple this cake is to make. For garnish, I've got some holly off the bush in our front yard. Put some at each end. And then I'm just going to garnish with a few fresh cranberries to look like holly berries, edible holly berries. And that is our French Buche de Noel Christmas Yule log. Merry Christmas, happy baking, Happy New Year, and all that good stuff.